In the crowded streets of Tondo, Manila, a soft rain falls as 12-year-old Miguel Santiago sings Hotel California with an old cracked guitar. His voice is pure and haunting, rising above the noise of jeepneys and street vendors. Passers-by slow their steps, some stopping completely, while a stranger records the performance on a phone, sensing something special in the boy's trembling yet powerful notes. From the alleyways of poverty, a spark of destiny begins. Days later, Miguel stands on the brightly lit stage of a national singing competition in Cebu City. Barefoot and dressed in worn clothes, he faces the judges who glance at each other with polite skepticism. The studio audience quiets as the first guitar chord rings out, and the boy's soulful voice fills the room, sharp and aching with emotion, silencing every whisper. As the song builds to its soaring chorus, Judge Rico subtly wipes a tear, while the famously strict Judge Maria slowly raises a hand to her mouth, her eyes glistening. By the final note, the room is spellbound, the judges rising in a standing ovation. Back home in Tondo, Miguel rushes into the arms of his mother, Aling Rosa, who drops her basket of vegetables to hold him tightly. They cry and laugh together as he shows the golden ticket, its shimmer a promise of a brighter future despite their crumbling home. In the grand finale in Makati City, Miguel performs a slowed, aching version of Hotel California. The lights dim and the audience leans in, every word dripping with heart and pain. As the last note fades into silence, the entire studio erupts in cheers and tears, judges and camera crew alike overwhelmed by the raw, undeniable power of a poor Filipino boy's gift and the hope it carries. On a humid evening in Tondo, Manila, 12-year-old Miguel Santiago strums a battered guitar beneath a flickering streetlight. His small fingers tremble, but his voice is steady and soulful as he sings Hotel California, each note floating over the clamor of vendors and jeepneys. People slow their steps, captivated, while a stranger quietly records him with a phone, catching the spark of something extraordinary. Days later, Miguel stands on a dazzling stage in Cebu City, barefoot and wearing faded clothes that reveal his humble life. The judges exchange doubtful glances as he grips the microphone. The first gentle chord fills the air and Miguel begins to sing. The studio falls silent, his raw, aching voice wrapping around the audience like a spell. Judge Rico wipes his eyes, and the famously unshakable Judge Maria presses a trembling hand to her mouth, tears glistening under the bright lights. Back in Tondo, Miguel bursts through the door of their tiny home, holding up the golden ticket. His mother, Aling Rosa, drops her basket of vegetables and embraces him, tears of joy mixing with sweat from a long day of work. The ticket gleams between their hands, a fragile symbol of hope. Weeks later, the grand finale in Makati City unfolds beneath blinding lights. Miguel performs a slower, aching version of Hotel California, every lyric carrying the weight of his journey. The crowd leans forward, breaths held, until the last note fades into a breathtaking silence. Then the audience erupts, judges rising with tears streaming down their faces. Cameras capture the boy who came from the alleys of Tondo and sang his way into the nation's heart, proving that talent and hope can shine even in the darkest corners of poverty. In the rain-washed streets of Tondo, Manila, 12-year-old Miguel Santiago balances a battered guitar on his knees while the neon glow of a nearby sari-sari store flickers against the night. His voice, clear and aching, drifts through the alley as he sings Hotel California, stopping vendors, jeepney drivers, and curious children in their tracks. A passerby raises a phone to record, sensing that this fragile melody carries something rare. Days later, Miguel steps barefoot onto the brilliant stage of a national competition in Cebu City, his faded shirt clinging to his small frame. The judges glance at each other, their polite smiles betraying doubt, until Miguel strums the first chord. The room falls silent. His voice soars with a mixture of innocence and heartbreak, each lyric wrapping the audience in stillness. Judge Rico discreetly wipes a tear while Judge Maria, known for her cold critiques, presses a trembling hand to her mouth, her eyes wet with emotion. Back in Tondo, Miguel rushes into their cramped home, clutching a golden ticket that catches the dim light. His mother, Aling Rosa, drops her basket of vegetables and pulls him into a tight embrace. Their laughter mingles with tears, the ticket shimmering like a promise of escape from their crumbling world. Weeks later, the grand finale unfolds in Makati City. Under a single spotlight, Miguel delivers a haunting, slowed rendition of Hotel California, his voice echoing with the weight of every hardship he has endured. As the final note fades, a hush sweeps the room before the audience rises in thunderous applause. Judges stand weeping openly, cameras capturing the boy from the streets who transformed struggle into music, proving that even from the narrowest alleyways, greatness can rise and touch the hearts of a nation. Under a hazy Manila dusk, 12-year-old Miguel Santiago sits on a cracked sidewalk in Tondo with a weathered guitar resting against his small frame. The humid air hums with street vendors' calls and the rumble of jeepneys, but his voice pierces through as he sings Hotel California with startling clarity. Passers-by slow their steps, a stranger lifts a phone to capture the moment, and for an instant the noisy alley falls still, wrapped in the spell of his music. Days later, Miguel stands barefoot beneath the blinding lights of a Cebu City audition stage. His faded shirt and shy stance draw cautious glances from the judges, but when he strums the first chord, the entire studio hushes. His soulful voice carries both innocence and pain, each lyric trembling with raw emotion. Judge Rico discreetly brushes away a tear while the famously unshakable Judge Maria presses her hand to her mouth, eyes shimmering as the final note lingers in the air. Back in their cramped Tondo home, Miguel bursts through the door clutching the golden ticket. His mother, Aling Rosa, drops her basket of vegetables and pulls him into a fierce embrace, their laughter breaking into tears as the small piece of paper glows in the dim light, a fragile promise of hope. Weeks later in Makati City, Miguel steps onto the grand finale stage. Under a single spotlight he delivers a slow, aching version of Hotel California, every word heavy with the story of his journey. The last note fades into breathless silence before the audience erupts in cheers. Judges and crew rise to their feet, tears streaming as cameras capture the boy from the streets who turned struggle into song and prove that even the poorest corners of Manila can produce a voice powerful enough to move a nation. On a humid evening in Tondo, Manila, 12-year-old Miguel Santiago sits on a cracked curb with a battered guitar balanced across his knees. The street buzzes with the cries of vendors and the clang of tricycles, yet his voice rises above it all as he sings Hotel California, pure and aching, carrying far down the narrow alley. People stop mid-stride, a stranger quietly lifts a phone to record, and for a breathless moment the world around him falls silent. Days later, Miguel steps barefoot onto the dazzling stage of a Cebu City singing competition, his faded shirt hanging loosely as bright lights spill across the floor. The judges exchange skeptical glances, but the instant he strums the first chord, the room freezes. His clear, powerful voice pours through the hall, each lyric trembling with longing. Judge Rico wipes his eyes, while the famously cold Judge Maria clasps a hand over her mouth, tears gathering as the final note floats into stillness. Back in their tiny Tondo home, Miguel rushes through the doorway holding the golden ticket high. His mother, Aling Rosa, drops her basket of vegetables and embraces him tightly, their tears mingling as the ticket gleams like a fragile promise of change. Weeks later, in the grand finale at a Makati City studio, Miguel takes the stage beneath a single spotlight. He sings a slow, haunting rendition of Hotel California, his voice carrying the weight of nights spent on hard pavements and dreams too big for their crumbling walls. The last note fades, leaving a charged silence before the audience erupts. Judges rise to their feet, openly weeping as cameras capture the boy from Tondo whose music broke barriers of poverty and fear, proving that hope can emerge from the narrowest streets and reach an entire nation's heart.